Across the vast silence of the galaxy, fragments wander, relics of shattered worlds, cast away from their home stars, drifting for millions of years. Most remain unseen, invisible against the dark. But a rare few cross our path, and when they do, they carry with them the hidden history of other suns. The first visitor shocked us. Oumuamua, a tumbling enigma that defied every category. The second, Borisov, was clearer, a comet blazing with the chemistry of an alien nursery. And then a third arrived, 3IAtlas. It did not come with brilliance or spectacle. It came quietly, faintly glowing, almost lost in the background of the stars. But hidden within its orbit, within its faint light, were secrets. Secrets of its birthplace, secrets of the violence that cast it into exile, secrets of the galaxy's restless nature. 3IAtlas was not simply another comet. It was the third message, the third proof that our solar system is part of a greater exchange. Its hyperbolic path told of distance beyond measure. Its chemistry hinted at origins beyond the sun. Its silence spoke of the countless others that pass unseen. This is not the story of a fragment alone. It is the story of what such fragments reveal, of the galaxy's hidden traffic, of the diversity of worlds beyond our sight, of the secrets that wanderers like Atlas carry across the void. For in the brief presence of the third visitor, we glimpse not only another world's debris, but the restless truth of a galaxy that does not keep its secrets forever. A messenger without a home. It began as a faint speck, a subtle blur against the background of stars. At first glance, there was nothing extraordinary about it. Astronomers track thousands of such points each night. Comets emerging from the Kuiper Belt, asteroids circling the inner solar system, fragments that belong to the sun's domain. But this one was different. Its motion betrayed a secret. Its orbit was not closed, not tethered. It was moving too fast, along a path that revealed the truth. This was not a child of the sun. This was a stranger, a wanderer, a messenger without a home. The discovery of 3IAtlas carried with it the quiet tension of recognition. After Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019, astronomers had learned to watch for the improbable. They knew that the solar system was not a sealed sanctuary, but a crossroads, a place where the debris of other stars could, on rare occasions, pass through. And so, when Atlas was identified, faint and fragile though it seemed, the suspicion was immediate. Here was the third confirmation that we are not isolated, that our skies are visited by fragments cast adrift across the galaxy. Its trajectory was unmistakable, a hyperbola carved through the sun's domain, steep and fleeting. Unlike the graceful ellipses of planets or the looping returns of comets, Atlas traced a line that entered and exited, never to return. Its speed exceeded the escape velocity of the sun, proof that it had arrived from interstellar space. Its orbit was not ours, not anyone's. It belonged to the void. To call it a messenger is to recognize what it carried. Not words, not intention, but testimony. Every interstellar object is a record of violence and exile. To be cast out of a planetary system is to endure upheaval, a collision, a close encounter, a gravitational catapult. Atlas was the survivor of such an event, ejected into the galaxy, condemned to wander forever. It bore the scars of its origin, etched into its chemistry, its dust, its path. To study it was to study the history of another sun, hidden but not erased. But Atlas's faintness was a reminder of the limits of our reach. Unlike Borisov, whose cometary tail blazed clearly, or Oumuamua, whose brightness flickered with its strange tumbling shape, Atlas was more elusive. Its coma was delicate, its light fragile. Observations were hard-won, measured in long exposures and faint signals. Yet even in its subtlety, it told a story, that exile does not erase identity, that even the faintest fragment carries the fingerprints of its birth. The scientists who tracked it worked against time. Interstellar visitors do not linger. Their windows of visibility are short, their departures swift. Every night mattered. Instruments captured its spectrum, its brightness curve, its motion against the stars. Each fragment of data was a fragment of its secret, and slowly a picture emerged. This was not an object of the sun. Its speed, its orbit, its trajectory were undeniable. It was alien, and with that recognition came awe. For to see Atlas was to witness the galaxy's hidden traffic. Every star casts fragments outward. Every system creates exiles. Most drift unseen, lost in the immensity of space. But a rare few pass through ours, and when they do, we glimpse the larger truth. That the Milky Way is not a collection of isolated islands, but an ocean with currents that carry matter between shores. Atlas was one such current, a messenger carried by the unseen tides of the galaxy. Yet there was also melancholy, for the message could never be complete. We could measure its path, but not its birthplace. We could record its chemistry, but not its history. We could watch it glow faintly, but never follow where it would go. Atlas was a messenger without a home, and that was its paradox. It brought testimony of another world, but it could not tell us which one. Its identity was exile. Still, its presence mattered. Each interstellar visitor adds to the story. Oumuamua revealed strangeness. Borisov revealed familiarity. Atlas revealed fragility. A faint, delicate reminder that the galaxy is filled with wanderers, many of them subtle, many of them almost invisible. Together, they form a chorus of evidence. They tell us that exile is not rare, that the void is not empty, that our solar system is part of a restless galaxy. Atlas was not brilliant, it was not loud, but its very faintness was part of its secret. It told us that the visitors we see are only the tip of an iceberg, that countless others pass unnoticed. It told us that the galaxy is alive with motion, filled with fragments that will never be catalogued, never be named, never be known. The third visitor was a messenger, yes, but also a reminder of all the messengers we will never meet. And perhaps that is its greatest truth. For Atlas, the messenger without a home, revealed not only its own exile, but ours. We too are wanderers in the galaxy, bound to a star that drifts through spiral arms, carried by tides we cannot control. Our home is temporary, our presence fragile, our destiny uncertain. To see Atlas pass was to see a reflection, a fragment adrift, carrying secrets it could never fully reveal. The legacy of the first two visitors. Before Atlas, there were two strangers that crossed our sky and forced us to confront truths we had not expected. Each one was a messenger of its own kind, carrying secrets that reshaped our sense of the possible. Together, they set the stage for Atlas, for the third visitor could not be understood without the first two. The first was Oumuamua, discovered in October 2017. A faint dot in survey images, moving too fast, too freely to belong to the sun. Its name, chosen from the Hawaiian language, meant a messenger from afar, arriving first. It was not only a name, it was a prophecy. Oumuamua was unlike anything ever seen. Its light flickered strangely, as if it were long and thin, tumbling through space. Its brightness shifted by a factor of 10, suggesting a shape more extreme than any asteroid we had cataloged. Some imagined a cigar, others a shard, others a pancake-like fragment, but no certainty ever came. Stranger still, as it moved away from the sun, it accelerated. Comets often do this, jets of vapor pushing them outward. But Oumuamua showed no visible coma, no tail, no obvious release of gas. It was silent, enigmatic, contradictory. The mystery split the scientific community. Some argued for natural explanations, a fragment of frozen hydrogen sublimating invisibly, a shard of nitrogen ice, a porous body lighter than any we had imagined. Others suggested something bolder, that Oumuamua might not be natural at all. Could it be a probe, an artifact, a fragment of technology drifting across the galaxy? The idea was controversial, but it lingered because Oumuamua defied every category. Its silence was louder than certainty. The legacy of Oumuamua was not only data, but wonder. It revealed that interstellar visitors could be stranger than we dared to expect. It showed us that the galaxy was capable of producing fragments that challenged our imagination, and it forced us to admit that our tools were not ready. By the time we looked closely, Oumuamua was already gone, vanishing into the dark. We were left with questions we could not answer. The first visitor taught us humility. 2 years later came the second. 3I Borisov, discovered in 2019 by amateur astronomer Gennady Borisov, peering through a telescope he had built himself. Where Oumuamua had been strange, Borisov was familiar. It grew a bright coma and a long tail, unmistakably cometary. It released carbon monoxide in quantities far higher than our own comets, suggesting it had formed in the far, cold reaches of its home system. It was alien, but comprehensible. Borisov's legacy was different. It showed us that interstellar visitors could resemble what we already knew. It was a comet, yes, but a comet from another sun, carrying chemistry written in the conditions of its birthplace. To study it was to peek into another nursery, to glimpse the processes of planet formation as they occurred elsewhere. Borisov was not mystery, but confirmation. It proved that planetary systems across the galaxy obeyed familiar rules. It was alien, but it was kin. Together, the first two visitors created a balance. Oumuamua gave us enigma. Borisov gave us recognition. One whispered of the unknown, the other of the familiar. One challenged our categories, the other affirmed them. They formed a dialogue, the galaxy speaking in contrasts, showing us both the strangeness and the similarity of other worlds. And then, when the third arrived, we were ready to listen differently. Atlas was faint, fragile, easily overlooked. Without Oumuamua, we might not have noticed its strangeness. Without Borisov, we might not have understood its chemistry. The first visitor taught us to be astonished. The second taught us to compare. Together, they prepared us to see the third not as an anomaly, but as part of a pattern. The legacy of the first two visitors also reshaped our sense of probability. For centuries, no interstellar objects were known. Suddenly, within 2 years, there were 2, and then Atlas made 3. The implication was clear. Such visitors are not rare. They pass through often, perhaps constantly, unnoticed until our instruments became sharp enough. The first 2 were not exceptions. They were revelations. But their legacy reached further than science. They stirred the imagination of humanity itself. Oumuamua sparked debates about alien civilizations. Borisov reminded us of the kinship of stars. Both fueled a sense of connection, that the void between suns was not silence, but motion, exchange, testimony. They reminded us that we are part of a galaxy alive with wanderers. They reminded us that the stories of other worlds can on occasion cross into ours. When Atlas appeared, its faint light was measured against these legacies. It was not as strange as Oumuamua, not as vivid as Borisov. It was quieter, subtler, more elusive. But it did not need to be spectacular. Its significance lay in the confirmation. 3 visitors, 3 messages, 3 pieces of a truth too large for one fragment alone. Oumuamua taught us to expect mystery. Borisov taught us to expect familiarity. Atlas taught us to expect both, to expect diversity, to expect surprise, to expect the galaxy itself to be restless and varied. The legacy of the first 2 visitors is thus inseparable from the third. Atlas did not arrive in isolation. It arrived in a context shaped by its predecessors, in a world newly awake to the possibility of interstellar messengers. Without them, Atlas would have been overlooked. With them, Atlas became part of a chorus, the third note in a melody that had only just begun. And so the story of the third visitor begins not with itself, but with the first 2. They were the revelation, the shock, the awakening. They were the proof that the void between stars is not empty. They were the foundation upon which Atlas's meaning rests. Their legacy is not only in what they were, but in what they allowed us to see when the third arrived, the cosmic exile. Every visitor that drifts into our solar system shares a common story. Though their shapes differ, though their chemistries vary, though their brightness rises and falls in unique ways, they are all born of exile. 3IAtlas, like Oumuamua and Borisov before it, was once bound to another star. It circled in light, part of a family of worlds. And then something happened, something violent, something decisive. It was cast out, flung into the void, stripped of its home forever. To understand Atlas, we must understand exile. Planetary systems are not calm at birth. When a star ignites, it is surrounded by a disk of dust and gas, a maelstrom of collisions and growth. Small grains cling together, forming larger clumps. Pebbles grow into planetesimals. Worlds emerge from chaos. But creation is not gentle. For every world that forms, countless fragments are shattered. For every orbit that stabilizes, another is broken. Giant planets stir the disk like titans, scattering bodies with their gravity. Some are swallowed, some collide, some are cast inward toward the star, and some, the unlucky, or perhaps the lucky, are hurled outward, beyond escape velocity, into the dark. This process is universal. Every star, every disk, every nursery of planets produces exiles. Most planetary systems may eject far more matter than they keep. For every Earth that stabilizes into orbit, there may be thousands of fragments lost to the void. These exiles wander forever, crossing galactic arms, drifting through silence, waiting for chance to steer them near another star. 3IAtlas was one such fragment, born in the tumult of creation, condemned to exile. Exile is not only birth, it can also come later through violence. Worlds collide, planets shift, giant neighbors perturb smaller ones. When orbits destabilize, bodies are thrown outward. Some are destroyed, but others survive, torn from their stars and set adrift. Perhaps Atlas was once part of a larger body, fractured in collision. Perhaps it was once a comet circling its home star, before a giant planet hurled it outward. Whatever its path, it ended the same way, exile into the endless dark. The void is vast, but exiles endure. Once free of their stars, they drift for millions or billions of years, traveling distances beyond imagination. Their journeys are blind, without destination. They are not aimed. They are not guided. They are carried only by the momentum of their ejection, nudged by the faint gravity of stars they pass, pulled gently by galactic tides. Most will never come near another sun, but a rare few, by coincidence alone, will cross the path of a system like ours. This is the haunting truth of exile. It does not erase identity. An interstellar visitor carries with it the chemistry of its birthplace, the scars of its collisions, the structure of its formation. Atlas, faint as it was, bore testimony of the processes that shaped it. Its dust contained clues of the star that once warmed it. Its gases whispered of the temperatures and pressures of its nursery. Exile does not silence origin. It preserves it, carrying secrets across the void. But exile also changes. The long journey through interstellar space is not without consequence. Cosmic rays bombard the surface, darkening it. Impacts of micrometeorites scar it. The cold of deep space locks its volatiles in silence. By the time Atlas reached us, it was both itself and transformed. A fragment of a world long gone, but also a relic of endless wandering. To study it was to study both a system and the void between systems. It was to hold in one moment the memory of birth and the scars of exile. The scale of exile humbles imagination. The Milky Way holds hundreds of billions of stars. Each one may eject trillions of fragments over its lifetime. The galaxy may be filled with more wanderers than stars, drifting unseen. They are everywhere, yet invisible. They are common, yet fleeting in our reach. The arrival of Atlas was not anomaly, but inevitability, the rare moment when the probability of exile intersected with our ability to see. Exile, then, is not exception. It is law. Planetary systems are not closed gardens, but leaky vessels, spilling fragments into the sea of stars. And those fragments become wanderers, messengers, exiles like Atlas. To glimpse one is to glimpse the truth of the galaxy, that everything moves, everything collides, everything scatters. Stability is rare. Exile is common. The metaphor is difficult to resist. For are we not exiles too? Cast from ignorance into knowledge, flung by history into the present, wandering toward futures we cannot see. The visitors remind us that exile is not only astrophysical, but existential. To be alive is to be temporary, to be fragile, to be cast into motion. Atlas was a fragment, but in its exile we saw ourselves, wanderers in a galaxy that holds no permanence. Yet exile is not emptiness, it is connection. The exiles of other systems reach ours, carrying their secrets. Perhaps our own system has cast out fragments that now wander elsewhere, destined one day to brush against alien skies. Exile weaves the galaxy together, creating invisible threads of matter and story. The visitors are not only fragments, they are bridges. They show us that we are not alone in the void, for the void itself is filled with their testimony. 3IAtlas was a messenger without a home, yes, but it was also proof that exile is universal. Every system casts its fragments outward. Every fragment carries secrets. Every secret waits for chance. To glimpse Atlas was to glimpse the truth that the galaxy is not composed of isolated stars, but of exiles connecting them. It was to see that exile is not silence, but conversation. And so, the story of Atlas is inseparable from the story of cosmic exile. It was born in violence, shaped by chaos, preserved by the void, and revealed by chance. Its faint glow across our sky was the end of a journey millions of years long, and the beginning of a truth we are only just learning, that the galaxy is restless, that exile is law, and that in every exile lies a secret waiting to be read. The Atlas Enigma. Atlas was not the brightest of visitors. It did not blaze like Borisov, nor confound like Oumuamua. To the public, it almost slipped past unnoticed, faint, fragile, a whisper rather than a declaration. Yet to astronomers, it was precisely this quietness that made it intriguing. For within its delicate glow lay a different kind of puzzle, a subtler kind of secret. If Oumuamua was the enigma of form and Borisov the enigma of chemistry, Atlas was the enigma of fragility. From the moment of its detection, Atlas resisted easy classification. It behaved like a comet, faintly releasing gas as it neared the sun, but its activity was weak, its coma faint, its tail barely discernible. It was difficult to observe, requiring long exposures and careful subtraction of background noise. For weeks, data trickled in, not vivid images, but faint signals hovering at the edge of perception. To study Atlas was to study absence as much as presence, to interpret the faintest whispers of light against the darkness. This faintness posed a challenge. Was Atlas inherently small, a minor fragment cast adrift? Or was it larger but already fractured, shedding material invisibly as it traveled? Some suggested that it may have been a fragment of a larger body, broken apart during its long exile. Others wondered whether cosmic rays, micrometeorite impacts, and the cold of interstellar space had eroded it over millions of years, leaving only a fragile remnant behind. Whatever the cause, its faintness was its identity. Atlas was not the bold messenger. It was the fading one, the weary one, carrying scars we could barely read. Yet even in its weakness, Atlas spoke. Its trajectory confirmed its interstellar nature, a hyperbolic orbit, too steep to belong to the sun. Its chemistry, though faintly measured, carried traces of ices familiar and unfamiliar. Its presence was fleeting, but its testimony was real. Like the E, others before it, Atlas carried secrets of another system. It simply offered them more quietly, more delicately, as if reminding us that not all truths are shouted. Some are whispered. What made Atlas an enigma was not only what it revealed, but what it concealed. Its faintness limited what we could measure. Its brevity limited what we could know. We caught only fragments of its story, enough to confirm its alien birth, not enough to decode its full history. In this way, Atlas embodied the mystery of all interstellar visitors. They come bearing secrets, but never fully reveal them. They leave us with knowledge, but also with questions. There was also the enigma of its place among the three. Oumuamua was strange beyond measure, challenging categories. Borisov was vivid, reminding us of kinship across stars. Atlas, by contrast, seemed ordinary, fragile, almost forgettable. And yet, it was precisely this ordinariness that was extraordinary. For if Oumuamua and Borisov were extremes, Atlas represented the median, the quiet majority of interstellar visitors. Most are likely faint, fragile, unremarkable to the naked eye. Atlas may not have been dramatic, but it was representative. It reminded us that the galaxy's wanderers are not all mysteries or spectacles. Many are subtle fragments, drifting without brilliance, carrying their secrets softly. This made Atlas important in a new way. It hinted that the interstellar objects we have seen so far, the mysterious shard and the blazing comet, were not outliers, but part of a continuum. Atlas was the third data point, confirming a pattern, that the galaxy produces wanderers of many kinds, from the strange to the familiar to the fragile. Its enigma was not in its uniqueness, but in its role as confirmation. The galaxy does not send us anomalies, it sends us diversity. Still, the enigma deepened when astronomers considered how close we had come to missing it. Its faintness nearly hid it. Its fragility made it fade quickly. Without vigilant surveys, it would have slipped past unseen, like countless others before it. This raised a haunting question. How many visitors have already crossed our skies without notice? How many secrets have passed us by, unmeasured, unremembered, lost to the dark? Atlas was visible only because our instruments had sharpened, only because we had learned from the first two to watch more carefully. Its enigma was not only its nature, but its very visibility. And then came the enigma of time. Atlas, like all interstellar visitors, was only briefly ours, weeks of data, months at most, before it receded into invisibility. Its presence was like a shadow crossing a doorway, sudden, fleeting, gone. We could not hold it. We could not pursue it. We could only measure what we could in the time we had. This temporal fragility was itself a puzzle. How do we study something that refuses to stay? How do we unlock secrets that vanish before the questions are fully formed? Atlas left us not only with partial answers, but with the enigma of incompleteness itself. The Atlas enigma is therefore layered. It is the enigma of fragility, of faintness, of being overlooked. It is the enigma of being the ordinary one, the quiet one, among louder companions. It is the enigma of brevity, of secrets only half revealed. And it is the enigma of probability, of how many more like it pass unseen, whispering secrets we may never hear. Perhaps this is why Atlas matters most. Not because it was spectacular, but because it was not. It was faint, fragile, fleeting, and yet, in those qualities, it revealed the deeper truth. The galaxy's wanderers are not all dazzling messengers. Most are quiet exiles, subtle fragments carrying secrets only discernible with patience and humility. Atlas reminded us that discovery is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is fragile. Sometimes it is faint. Sometimes the secret is that we almost missed it. Reading the silence. Astronomy has always been a science of listening to silence. The universe rarely speaks in loud declarations. Instead, it whispers, faintly, through scattered photons, fleeting shadows, and signals barely above the noise of the void. To understand a visitor like 3IAtlas is to accept this silence and to learn how to read within it. For Atlas, faint and fragile, offered little. And yet, in that little, there was meaning enough to change how we see the galaxy. When astronomers first fixed their telescopes upon it, Atlas appeared only as a dim blur. Its glow was delicate, smeared across the night sky. In the raw images, it was nearly indistinguishable from background noise. But by aligning exposures, subtracting stars, and amplifying signals, its presence became clearer. It was there, faint but real, a visitor crossing the solar system's stage. The silence of its faintness was not emptiness. It was a puzzle. The spectrum of Atlas, the decomposition of its light into wavelengths, carried its first secrets. Even a faint signal contains chemical fingerprints. Absorption lines revealed the gases it released as it neared the sun, the icy compounds sublimating into vapor, water, carbon compounds, perhaps traces of more exotic volatiles. The lines were faint, but they were evidence that Atlas was cometary, rich in ices preserved since its birth. Its chemistry was its testimony, a record of the conditions in the system that formed it. Reading those lines was like reading the faded ink of an ancient manuscript, incomplete but powerful. Brightness curves offered another language of silence, As Atlas rotated, as it shed gas, as it fractured, its glow changed subtly. By recording its variations night after night, astronomers pieced together hints of its size, its shape, its activity. Was it stable or fragmenting? Was it large or fragile? The light curve whispered possibilities, though it never answered fully. The silence of uncertainty remained, but within it, glimpses of identity appeared. The orbit was its clearest statement. Tracing Atlas's path revealed what words could not. It was not bound. Its hyperbolic trajectory was the unmistakable signature of an interstellar object. It had come from beyond, and it would return to beyond. The numbers were precise, the mathematics undeniable. Whatever its faintness, Atlas's silence could not conceal its exile. In the geometry of its motion, it spoke loudly. Yet even in its loudest truths, silence persisted. Where had it come from? Its path could not be traced backward with certainty. The gravitational nudges of countless stars over millions of years blurred the line of origin. Perhaps it had passed near a sun-like star in the constellation of Cassiopeia. Perhaps it had wandered across multiple arms of the Milky Way. Its birthplace remained unknown, hidden in the silence of probability. And so, astronomers leaned into the silence, accepting what could not be known, amplifying what could. They combined spectra, light curves, orbital dynamics, models of cometary behavior. They compared Atlas to Oumuamua and Borisov, asking what its faintness added to the story. They spoke cautiously, knowing that every conclusion was provisional. This humility is part of astronomy's power, for in silence, certainty is rare. But meaning can still emerge. Reading the silence of Atlas was not only a scientific act, it was philosophical. It reminded us that knowledge is never complete, that absence can be as informative as presence, that what we cannot see may matter as much as what we can. Atlas was faint, fleeting, elusive, but in those qualities, it told us the truth of the galaxy. Most visitors are like this. Most secrets are partial. Most messages arrive without full translation. There is also a beauty in this, for silence invites imagination. Where certainty ends, wonder begins. The faintness of Atlas left space for speculation, for mystery, for awe. It forced us to confront the limits of our perception and to recognize that the galaxy is always more than we can measure. Reading the silence is not defeat. It is acknowledgement that the universe is larger than our tools, our models, our reach. In this way, Atlas became a teacher. It showed us how to listen more carefully, how to see in faintness, how to accept incompleteness. Its silence was not emptiness, it was depth. It reminded us that astronomy is not only the science of what is seen, but of what is hinted. It is the science of patience, of humility, of listening to whispers in the dark. The enigma of Atlas will not be solved fully. Too faint, too brief, too distant now. But what it left us, faint spectra, fragile light curves, a hyperbolic orbit, is enough. Enough to confirm its exile, enough to glimpse its chemistry, enough to remind us that the void is not empty. The silence of Atlas was not absence, it was presence, expressed differently. And in learning to read it, we learned again what it means to be listeners in a galaxy of whispers, secrets hidden in trajectories. Every object in the sky writes its story in motion. Stars drift across the Milky Way, planets circle the sun, comets arc inward and retreat again. Trajectories are more than geometry. They are memory. They reveal forces long past, collisions unseen, the silent push and pull of gravity across time. For a visitor like 3IAtlas, the trajectory is everything. It is the one unambiguous clue, the one signature that cannot be faked. Its path tells us what it is, not a child of the sun, but a traveler from beyond. The orbit of Atlas was hyperbolic, an open curve, never to return. Most bodies we know trace ellipses, paths closed by the sun's grip. Even comets from the Oort cloud, though stretched into centuries-long arcs, remain tethered. They are wanderers, but they come back. Atlas did not. Its speed, even after being slowed by the sun's gravity, was still too great. Its trajectory bent around the star, curved by light and heat, but then it continued outward, unbound, free. The numbers were precise. Its excess velocity guaranteed exile. Its orbit was not only unusual, it was impossible for anything born here. This is why trajectories are secrets revealed. They show the hidden history of an object. For Atlas to carry such speed, it must have been flung outward long ago from another system by forces we cannot see. Perhaps a giant planet hurled it away in its youth. Perhaps a close stellar encounter scattered it. Perhaps it was once part of a cluster where stars jostled and exchanged fragments freely. Its present path was written by its past, by violence, by exile, by ejection. But trajectories hold another kind of secret, the unknowable. Trace Atlas's orbit backward, and it points to the stars, yet not to a single one. Over millions of years, the pull of other stars, the tides of the galaxy, the subtle influence of dark matter itself all distort the line. The further back we trace, the blurrier the picture becomes. Soon, certainty vanishes into probability. Atlas's birthplace cannot be pinned to a single sun. It is lost in the shifting currents of the Milky Way. Its trajectory tells us exile, but not origin. And so, astronomers learned to read what could be read. Its incoming direction suggested it came from far beyond the plane of the solar system, a steep angle that hinted at long wandering. Its speed suggested it had not been captured recently, but had drifted for eons. Its curve around the sun, gentle yet decisive, revealed how gravity shapes even the fastest travelers. These were its secrets, not the where, but the how, not the birthplace, but the nature of the journey. Atlas's path also whispered of the future. Just as it entered, so it left, carrying momentum into the abyss. Where would it go? Toward another arm of the galaxy, perhaps grazing another star system millions of years from now. Perhaps never again encountering a sun closely enough to be noticed. Its future, like its past, was written in probabilities. Its certainty was only this: it would not return. Its orbit guaranteed farewell. In this way, trajectories become a kind of cosmic handwriting. Every curve, every angle, every speed is a word in a language of gravity. Astronomers learn to read it as historians read scrolls, as archaeologists read ruins. Atlas's handwriting was unmistakable. It said, "I do not belong here. I never did. I was flung outward. I have wandered long, and I will wander longer still." It was a message not in speech, but in mathematics. And in mathematics, it was undeniable. Yet there is a deeper reflection in this. For to watch Atlas's path is to be reminded of our own. Earth traces an ellipse bound to the sun, yet the sun itself traces a path around the galaxy, and the galaxy drifts through space. Our own trajectory is written too, shaped by forces beyond our control. We, too, are wanderers, carried by orbits larger than we can see. The secrets hidden in trajectories are not just about Atlas. They are about us. They remind us that motion is destiny, that paths are stories, that everything in the cosmos is in exile, moving, never still. Atlas's trajectory was simple, but its meaning was vast. It was the proof of exile, the handwriting of violence, the testimony of wandering. It was the secret that the galaxy cannot hide, that stars cast out their fragments, and those fragments cross the void. To glimpse its orbit was to glimpse a truth larger than itself, that the Milky Way is restless, and that we live in a galaxy where nothing stays home forever. Cosmic diversity. When the first interstellar object was found, many believed it would be an anomaly, a single strange visitor that might never be repeated. Yet within just a few years, there were three. And the most striking truth was not simply their arrival, but their differences. Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas were not alike. They carried different chemistries, different behaviors, different mysteries. Together, they revealed a truth deeper than anyone alone. That the galaxy's wanderers are diverse, and in their diversity lies the story of the cosmos itself. Oumuamua was the first voice. It was elongated, tumbling, accelerating in ways that defied simple explanation. It had no tail, no coma, no signs of ordinary cometary behavior. It was a riddle written in light curves and acceleration, challenging every category. Was it a fragment of frozen hydrogen? A sliver of nitrogen ice? A shard of something stranger? Its message was mystery, that the galaxy can create forms we do not understand. Then came Borisov, the second voice. Where Oumuamua defied, Borisov affirmed. It sprouted a long, bright tail, releasing gas in a familiar pattern. Its chemistry was alien but recognizable, rich in carbon monoxide, suggesting formation in an icy, distant nursery. It was not a riddle, but a revelation. Proof that other stars form comets much like our own sun. Borisov's message was kinship, that planetary formation is not unique, but universal. And then Atlas, the third voice, faint, fragile, fleeting. Its coma was weak, its light difficult to measure, its presence easy to overlook. It was not spectacular, not confounding, not blazing. It was subtle. But in its subtlety lay a truth, that most interstellar visitors are likely like this. Quiet fragments, wandering invisibly, detectable only with patience. Atlas's message was humility, that the galaxy is filled with wanderers, but most are faint, fragile, almost invisible. The diversity of these three is not coincidence, it is evidence. For planetary systems are not uniform. Some stars give birth to icy comets rich in volatile gases. Others shatter rocky fragments that drift as enigmatic shards. Some exiles are dramatic, some ordinary, some fragile. Each visitor is a sample, a piece of a larger whole. Together, they sketch a picture of cosmic diversity too vast for one object to reveal. This diversity teaches us that the Milky Way is not a repetition of identical systems, but a mosaic. Some systems resemble ours, producing comets like Borisov. Others produce fragments we cannot yet classify, like Oumuamua. Still others scatter countless faint particles like Atlas, subtle enough to be lost in the void. The visitors are not only messengers, they are evidence of a truth we can hardly imagine, that every star writes its story differently, and those stories wander freely across the galaxy. And what does this mean for us? It means that when we study one visitor, we study not only itself, but its origin. Oumuamua hinted at strange conditions of formation. Borisov revealed cold nurseries far richer in carbon monoxide than ours. Atlas suggested fragility, perhaps the consequence of billions of years of wandering. Each one was a keyhole into another world's history. Each one was a page torn from a book we will never read in full. The diversity also suggests abundance. If the first three were so different, then the galaxy must contain wanderers of countless kinds. Iron fragments from shattered cores, dusty snowballs from frozen belts, volatile rich bodies from distant nurseries, perhaps even objects so strange we have no category ready for them. The visitors hint that we have seen only the beginning, only 3 notes in a symphony that stretches across the galaxy. And yet, diversity is also a challenge, for it means there will be no single answer, no simple explanation that fits them all. Each visitor will bring new puzzles, new contradictions, new secrets. We cannot expect the galaxy to conform to our categories. We must expand our imagination, ready for forms and chemistries unlike anything we know. Diversity demands humility, but diversity also brings beauty. To see 3 so different in such a short time is to glimpse the richness of the cosmos. To realize that every visitor is unique is to feel awe at the creativity of the universe. Oumuamua, Borisov, Atlas, each one distinct, each one irreplaceable. Their diversity is not disorder. It is the harmony of a galaxy alive with variation. This is the legacy of the 3rd visitor. Not that it was spectacular, but that it was different. And in being different, it confirmed the truth, that interstellar wanderers are not a single type, not a single story, but a chorus of many. The secrets they carry are as diverse as the stars themselves. To glimpse 3 is to glimpse infinity. Toward the 4th visitor. The first was a shock. The second was confirmation. The third was subtle. And now the question hangs unavoidably in the silence of the sky. Who will be the 4th? Somewhere in the dark between stars, countless fragments wander. Some will pass near, some will cross through. It is only a matter of time before another reveals itself. Humanity is waiting, and this time we are determined to be ready. The discovery of Oumuamua was accidental. It slipped into view only after it had already passed its closest approach, leaving us scrambling to catch fading light. Borisov, too, appeared without warning, noticed by the dedication of one amateur astronomer. Atlas was detected thanks to vigilant surveys, but its faintness nearly hid it. These encounters revealed not only the visitors, but our own unpreparedness. We saw them, but only just. We studied them, but incompletely. Their fleetingness left us with more questions than answers. If there is to be a 4th, we must change the story. The change begins with the sky itself. New surveys are rising, equipped with wider eyes and deeper reach. Chief among them is the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, soon to sweep the heavens from its mountain in Chile. With its vast mirror and powerful camera, Rubin will scan the entire southern sky every few nights, cataloging faint points of light with unprecedented speed. Where past generations could only watch patches of the heavens, Rubin will watch nearly all of it, turning the chaos of motion into a map of precision. In its nightly harvest of data, interstellar wanderers will stand out like sparks against the drift of local bodies. If Oumuamua was missed until too late, the 4th visitor may be recognized sooner, its secret studied while it still lingers. But discovery is only the first step. If the next visitor is to be truly understood, we must do more than watch from afar. We must meet it. Already missions are being designed with this in mind. The European Space Agency's Comet Interceptor will wait in orbit, a sentinel ready to launch at a moment's notice. When a suitable target is detected, whether an ordinary comet or, if fortune favors us, an interstellar one, it will be dispatched, racing outward to intercept the traveler directly. Instruments will scan its surface, measure its gases, and return images no telescope on Earth could achieve. For the first time, we will not only glimpse a messenger from afar, but greet it face to face. Other concepts go further still. Some propose using solar sails, vast sheets of reflective material, to chase interstellar visitors at speeds conventional engines cannot match. Others dream of nuclear-powered interceptors or probes staged in deep space, waiting like sentinels for the chance encounter. Even more ambitious visions imagine missions designed not just to intercept, but to return samples, bringing fragments of alien worlds back to Earth. These ideas hover at the edge of possibility, but their spirit is clear. The fourth visitor must not pass us by unexamined. There is urgency in this readiness, for interstellar visitors are fleeting. By the time we see them, they are already departing. Their windows are short, weeks, months, never years. To catch them requires speed and preparation. We cannot build a mission from nothing once they arrive. We must be ready beforehand, instruments standing by, strategies prepared. The fourth visitor demands anticipation. And so, astronomers and engineers now work not only in observation, but in expectation. They simulate possible trajectories, plan interception profiles, refine instruments. They prepare for an arrival that cannot be predicted, but must be assumed. The galaxy will send another, soon or late. The only uncertainty is when. Yet even with this preparation, humility remains. The fourth visitor may be bright and cometary, like Borisov. It may be strange and confounding, like Oumuamua. It may be faint and fragile, like Atlas. It may be something beyond all three. Whatever it is, it will carry secrets we cannot foresee. Diversity has taught us not to expect uniformity, but surprise. Our task is not to predict its nature, but to be ready to listen. Toward the fourth visitor, then, lies not only technology, but philosophy. It is not enough to intercept. We must be open to astonishment, ready for truths we did not imagine. We must approach with reverence, as well as with instruments. For the visitors are not ours to command. They are wanderers. They arrive on their own terms, indifferent to our questions. Our role is only to witness, to listen, to learn. But imagine, for a moment, if we succeed. Imagine a spacecraft racing outward, catching the fourth visitor in the vastness of space. Imagine close images of a fragment born of another sun, its surface scarred by alien histories. Imagine spectra captured directly, samples analyzed, chemistry decoded. For the first time, humanity would not only glimpse, but know. We would hold in our hands the matter of another star's story. The secrets of exile would no longer be only whispers. They would be tangible, undeniable, present. This is the promise of the fourth visitor. It is not only another object, another fragment passing by. It is the possibility of transformation, of turning mystery into knowledge, of turning fleetingness into permanence. It is the chance to bridge the void not in dreams, but in data. It is the next chapter in a story that has only just begun. The first three taught us humility. The fourth will test our readiness. And beyond it, there will be a fifth, a sixth, countless more. But it is the fourth that we await with sharpened eyes and open hands, knowing that the galaxy will not wait for us, but will offer us opportunities we must seize. Somewhere in the darkness, the fourth visitor is already traveling. Perhaps it has wandered for 1 billion years. Perhaps it has brushed against other suns. Perhaps it carries secrets stranger than any we have seen. It is coming, silently, invisibly, on a trajectory we cannot yet predict. One day, perhaps soon, its faint light will cross our sky, and when it does, we will be watching what the galaxy whispers. The galaxy does not shout. It does not speak in thunderous voices or grand declarations. Instead, it whispers. Its language is subtle, faint streaks of light across the night sky, fragments wandering through the solar system, paths that cross for only a moment before vanishing again. 3IAtlas was one such whisper. Not loud, not spectacular, but present. A message not in words, but in motion, reminding us that the Milky Way is restless and that its restlessness touches us. The whispers begin in planetary nurseries. Young stars are surrounded by swirling disks of dust and gas. In those disks, matter collides, clumps, grows. Worlds are born, but countless fragments are cast aside. Some crash into larger bodies, some spiral into the star, and many are thrown outward, beyond escape velocity, into exile. Every star whispers by casting away pieces of itself. Every planetary system speaks into the void by scattering fragments across the galaxy. The Milky Way's voice is not a single sound, but a chorus of exiles. Oumuamua was one whisper, strange, elongated, tumbling, defying categories. Borisov was another, familiar, cometary, glowing with alien chemistry. Atlas was quieter still, faint, fragile, overlooked by all but the most patient eyes. Each was different, yet all spoke the same truth. The galaxy is not still. It is alive with motion, alive with scattering, alive with fragments that travel endlessly. The whispers may be soft, but they are constant. The silence between stars is not emptiness. It is filled with these quiet voices. To listen to these whispers requires patience. They do not come often, and when they do, they are fleeting. By the time we notice them, they are already departing. We gather what data we can, a spectrum here, a brightness curve there, a trajectory plotted in haste. Each fragment is partial, incomplete, yet even in incompleteness, meaning emerges. The whispers tell us that we are part of a galaxy-wide exchange, a cosmic migration of matter that links systems we will never see. But there is another layer to these whispers, the reminder of fragility. Atlas, faint as it was, nearly escaped notice. How many others have passed unseen, lost to darkness, their voices unheard? For every one we detect, countless others slip by in silence. The galaxy speaks constantly, but our ears are still young. The whispers are louder than we realize. We have only just learned how to listen. What the galaxy whispers is not only science, but philosophy. It tells us that exile is universal, that permanence is an illusion, that everything drifts. It tells us that we are not isolated, but woven into a greater whole, connected by fragments we will never meet. It tells us that the void is not absence, but movement, a restless fabric stretching between stars. To listen to Atlas was to hear not only its own story, but the story of the Milky Way itself. There is also humility in these whispers. They remind us that we are not the center. For centuries, humanity imagined itself isolated, its system unique, its star special. But the visitors correct us. They show us that other stars too fling their fragments outward, that other systems too create wanderers, that we are part of a galaxy where exile is not rare, but law. The whispers shift our place in the cosmic hierarchy. We are not the only storytellers. We are one among many, listening to voices carried across the void. And yet, there is beauty in this humility. For to be one among many is to belong. The whispers remind us that we are not separate from the galaxy, but part of it. Every fragment that passes through our skies is a thread tying us to a star we will never see, a world we will never know. The galaxy whispers that we are included, that our story is written into the same restless fabric as all the others. Oumuamua, Borisov, Atlas, 3 whispers, 3 voices in the silence. What they said was not identical, but it harmonized. They spoke of strangeness, of kinship, of fragility. They spoke of exile, of diversity, of motion. Together, they revealed the larger truth, that the galaxy itself is speaking, quietly, constantly, if we only learn to hear. What, then, will the 4th whisper be? What will the next visitor reveal? We cannot know. It may shout like Borisov, blaze bright and obvious. It may confound like Oumuamua, defying every category. It may be quiet like Atlas, a fragile signal barely heard. Whatever it is, it will be another voice in the same chorus, another message in the same language of motion. The galaxy will whisper again, and we will lean closer to listen. In the end, this is the greatest gift of the visitors. Not only the data, not only the science, but the reminder of wonder. The whispers call us back to awe, to humility, to imagination. They remind us that silence is never empty, that even the faintest signals can hold truths vast enough to change us. The galaxy whispers constantly. 3IAtlas was one such whisper. And in listening to it, we heard not only the story of a fragment, but the restless, interconnected, living truth of the Milky Way itself. The secret is wonder. When 3IAtlas faded from our skies, it left behind no monuments, no lasting light. It returned to the darkness, its path carrying it far beyond our reach. For many, its passage was quiet, almost invisible, barely a footnote compared to the brightness of Borisov or the mystery of Oumuamua. And yet, in that quietness, it revealed something profound. For the 3rd visitor carried with it a secret not of detail, but of perspective. It reminded us that the greatest gift of interstellar wanderers is not certainty, but wonder. The story of Atlas is incomplete. We do not know where it was born, what system cast it into exile, or what journeys it endured across the abyss. We do not know whether it was fractured in collisions or worn thin by cosmic rays. We do not know whether its faintness was fragility or distance. What we know are fragments, a trajectory proving its exile, spectra hinting at its chemistry, faint light curves whispering of its form. The rest is silence. But within that silence lies wonder, for wonder thrives where certainty ends. The 1st visitor showed us strangeness, a form that defied classification. The 2nd showed us kinship, a comet, familiar yet alien. The 3rd showed us fragility, a reminder that most wanderers are faint, fleeting, easy to miss. Together, they revealed not the full truth, but a glimpse of something larger, a galaxy alive with exiles, each carrying stories, each carrying secrets. Their message was not clarity, it was vastness. And in vastness, wonder is inevitable. Wonder is more than curiosity. It is the recognition that the universe exceeds us, that its scales of time and distance dwarf our imagination, that its creativity outpaces our categories. Wonder is not ignorance, it is reverence. It is the feeling that comes when a faint light like Atlas drifts across our sky and reminds us that we live in a galaxy where silence is never empty, where even the quietest visitor is a testimony to the restlessness of the cosmos. In Atlas's passage, we see not only its story, but ours. We, too, are wanderers, bound to a star that drifts through spiral arms, bound to a galaxy that drifts among others. Our lives are brief, our presence fragile, our knowledge incomplete. Yet, in our fragility, we are capable of listening. We are capable of wonder. To hear the whispers of the galaxy in the passage of a fragment is to know that we are part of something larger, something we can never fully grasp but can always revere. The secret of Atlas, then, is not its chemistry, not its orbit, not its faint light. Those are details, important but partial. The deeper secret is what it stirred within us, a recognition of connection, of exile, of motion, of awe. Its presence reminded us that the Milky Way is alive with wanderers, and that to see even one is to touch infinity. It reminded us that silence is not absence, but invitation. It reminded us that wonder itself is the greatest discovery. And so the third visitor has passed, and the fourth will come. Others will follow, each with their own mysteries, each with their own silences, each with their own secrets. We will measure them, intercept them, perhaps even touch them. But beyond the science, beyond the data, their greatest gift will remain the same: the wonder of knowing that we live in a restless galaxy, one that whispers to us through fragments carried across the void. Atlas has gone, but its secret endures. Not the secret of its birthplace, or its size, or its fate, but the secret that wonder itself is the answer. For in wonder, we are reminded that to be alive in this universe is to be part of its mystery, to listen to its whispers, to find meaning not in final answers, but in the awe of the unknown.